national anthem. Please be seated. Are we live? Yeah, we're live. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Mark Huddleston, and I am proud to serve as the 19th president of the University of New Hampshire. And I am delighted to join you here on this spectacular day to celebrate the achievements of the class of 2012. Does it get better than this for a commencement afternoon? While this is the law school's 37th commencement, it is only the second as the UNH School of Law. So it really is a great celebration for the entire UNH community today. Our affiliation reflects the dynamic opportunities that a changing world presents, and you are well prepared to embrace them through your hard work, your scholarship, and the great training that you've received here at this law school. It's my hope that we will continue to work together as you bring your expertise, talent, and commitment to service into a world supported by UNH research and innovation. Thank you all, and congratulations. And it's now my sincere honor and privilege to introduce Dean John Broderick. John?
Good afternoon. I promise all of you this commencement will be over within 5 hours. I want to acknowledge some special guests who are here today. First one I want to acknowledge is Governor John McKernan, former two-term governor of Maine, and he's married to Senator Olympia Snowe. And Governor McKernan is down here, if you'd stand. Also want to acknowledge the trustees of this law school and of the University of New Hampshire who are with us today. I want to acknowledge two very special friends of this law school. One is Ginny Nedved, and the other is Ralph Baer. Ralph Baer turned 90 years old. He has over 100 patents, and he's been a great leader in this law school, and he's been very generous to the school, as has Ginny Nedved. I would like all retired faculty, or soon-to-retired faculty, of the law school and the staff who are here today to stand. I'm going to read their names because collectively, the names I'm reading have given almost 180 years to this law school, and Bill Hennessy alone has given 114. Joe Dickinson, Tom Field, Judy Geyer, Bill Hennessy, Ellen Musinski, and Sarah Redfield. I want to thank them for their service to this school over decades. Just before we began, the class of 1977, or some of them, marched down the center aisle. If it weren't for them, the second graduating class, this commencement would not be taking place in this beautiful place in Concord, New Hampshire. And I'm going to ask the class of 1977 who are here today to stand and be recognized. I would now like to acknowledge a friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, and a very good lawyer, David Pinsino, who's a graduate of the class of 77, to come forward and present a class gift. He told me it was with unmarked bills. I hope that's true, David.
Just a real
Sure,
quick word.
absolutely.
On behalf of the class of 1977, we want to give this gift to the school in memory of two people who were important to us, Bob Rhines and Bob Viles, who were the original founders, as well as faculty who joined us for our celebrations yesterday, Tom Field, Dick Hesse, and Joe Dickinson. So use it in good health.
Thank you, David. On behalf of the law school and the law school community, let me thank the class of 1977 for their generosity. Each year, it's a tradition at this commencement to have advice from the faculty, even though I'm sure the graduates think they've had probably enough advice from the faculty. But what's interesting about it is every year the students select a member of the faculty, so it's a faculty member of their choosing, which is a high honor, to come and make some remarks. This year, I have the pleasure to introduce Professor Buzz Shear to come forward.
Thank you, John. It's a pleasure to be here. As you all know, I'm a man of few words, so I think I can do this in less than 40 minutes. I actually only have 3 things to say. I did have a long list of all the students who I needed to call out by name, but it pretty much was the whole class, so I'm not going to do that. I thought about calling out the valuable members of the faculty, but that went pretty quickly. So, they're not throwing things yet. To those of you who I've had in classes, thank you again. I've said this to many of you before, but I love teaching, and when I get to have students like you in a class each day, it makes for a wonderful day for me, and I really appreciate the way you engaged in classes and put up my very poor humor and sarcasm. I really appreciate that and will remember you for that. For those of you who I didn't have in class, that reflects pretty well on your judgment and course selection. But I guess my biggest concern is, now that I've said all these wonderful things about you, why is it that you picked me to give you advice? I'm not quite sure. 2 more things, I'm getting there. Before I give you my advice, today's actually a very special moment for me. When I was in the early 80s, when I was even younger than I am now, I was a public defender, a new public defender. The public defenders were new to New Hampshire in the early 80s, and the court system and prosecutors were kind of just getting used to us disrupting things and looking for fair treatment for our clients and some kind of justice. So not a few judges and prosecutors would get angry frequently and would say perhaps intemperate things and yell at young public defenders. So I would very frequently go to court each day and come home each day scared that I was doing something wrong by getting in the way of what was going on in court and not letting things happen like they used to happen. So You know, when I'd get home, frequently, I would think of people like John Lewis, who has made a life of getting in the way for fair treatment and for justice. And, you know, he paid a much more significant price. You know, he was beaten, he was arrested, he was spat at, he was threatened with his life. And his courage and calm throughout of that, his nonviolence, gave me, kind of put my trivial fears in perspective and empowered me. So today I get to be, at least briefly, on the stage with one of my heroes. And I get to thank him for the example he set for me. So thank you. So I have another, 35 minutes, John? Something. So my advice to you, pretty simple. Be lawyers of skill and of passion. Be lawyers of skill in that I want you to be technically proficient. I want you to know the law. I want you to know the case. I want you to know your clients. And I want you to do it the right way, not just close enough. And I want you to be lawyers of passion. I want you to care about what you do, like John Lewis cared about what he was doing and still does. Engage all of yourself in what you do, not just a small section of your professional life. Pay attention to your heart, not just your head. That's the most important thing. Because a skilled lawyer without passion is a soulless technocrat, and a passionate lawyer without skill is what I would call a windy bore. Speaking of windy bores, thank you for electing me.
If I had said what Professor Schur said about the faculty, I would never return to my seat. He was only kidding. It's also our tradition here at the law school for the students to select one of their own to speak. And that's true among the graduate students here as well. And so this speaker was selected by the graduate students at the law school. His name is Adeyemi Ibaranke, and I would ask that person to come forward.
Good afternoon. Over the past couple of days, I was at the Miami Beach in Florida, in case you didn't observe the time, hoping that I would draw inspiration for this speech from the cascading waves, cool breeze, and warm sands. Rather, I succumbed, or perhaps surrendered, to the wiles of the weapons of mass destruction that was all around me. Hence, I must crave your indulgence in advance as I stumble through this speech. In the course of preparing for this rare honor, I had the privilege of enjoying the advice of several friends. For instance, my friend Jamie walked up to me several weeks ago and told me he'd voted for me to be the commencement speaker today. When I informed him that I neither knew what to say or do as a commencement speaker, his advice to me was simple. He told me, keep it short. Well, I'm sure you all recognize the problem with this advice. Personally, I don't know many lawyers that have the elementary skills of keeping anything short, especially when they know that people are constrained to listen. I'd therefore like to thank every member of the LLM MIP class 2012 for having more faith in me than I did in myself. The Dean, trustees, faculty and staff of the UNH School of Law, fellow graduates, family, friends, and foes, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great honor to be part of the LLM MIP graduating class of 2012. The journey culminating into today's testimonial started 10 months ago when 40 strangers from 5 continents and 13 countries became united in this noble institution and called Concord home. I would borrow the Facebook post of my friend Eddie to sum up our experience over the past 10 months. We came, we saw, we conquered. Thank you. Today, we celebrate the results of the collective efforts of several people who have contributed to our success story in one way or the other. First, I'd like to thank the Dean for teaching us through his own life the priceless virtues of hard work and humility. I recall the first time I met him in person. It was a White House event that was being streamed live over the internet. He walked up to me, shook my hand, and introduced himself as John Broderick. Well, there was a clear voice in my head. Thank goodness it wasn't audible to the outside ear that was saying, "Are you kidding me? You are the Dean of the Law School and distinguished retired Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court." But I bet any student of this institution would tell you that Dean Broderick is not just the Dean of this school. He is like a father, and beyond that, a friend. Thank you, sir. And by the way, at social functions I attended around town, I was always eager to mention that I was a student at the law school. Trust me, that was one surefire way of starting a long conversation because someone was bound to say, "I know you're Dean." And in my mind, I'd say, "Gotcha." I'd also like to thank the faculty and staff of the school. While I'd love to mention and thank every single professor for their contribution to our academic success, I'm constrained to restrict the list to only a few. We are grateful as a class to Professors Harrison, Ron Wykers, Johnson, Professors McEntee, Sonny Mulligan, Chris Johnson, several of them, the McGoverns. We thank you for everything you taught us in and out of class. I'd also like to thank the wonderful people in the library, career services, bookstore, jury box, Chad, it makes very great barbecue, as well as the tech guys. I must also specially appreciate Emily Sullivan-West for helping us settle down into life in Concord and share our diverse cultures during the potluck dinners. Thank you, Frank Canning, for your accommodation and devotion, and thank you, Jan Newman. It's been a pleasure knowing you all. I have truly been privileged to be a member of the LLM MIP class of 2012. The men and women of this class have proven themselves as worthy ambassadors, not only of their individual families, but their respective countries as well. I am confident that UNH School of Law would find us to be noble flag bearers of this great institution of learning in future. Once again, I would like to thank each and every member of this class for sharing their lives, time, and cultures with me, and for allowing me to give them a glimpse of some of the beauty in Africa. One of several benefits of attending UNH School of Law is the cultural diversity that is reflected by the flags behind this place. Over the past 10 months, I've learned a few words in different languages, which I am eager to flaunt, if you may say so. I would therefore like to mention a few people of whom I'd have very fond memories of. The Akila Guzel Kadinla, that's something in Turkey. Sibel, Irem, and AJ, Teseku Ederem. My Asian connection, Mia, Jessica, Xiaomin, Octavia, Cheche, Wo Xie Yemi, Wo Ai Niman. My brothers, Aki, Masa, Young, Jamie, don't study, don't be surprised. That's what I call him. Thank you all very much. I'd also like to acknowledge my pals, Imtiaz, Kapil, Sohini, Eddie, Anjali, lots of people, Shukriya. I believe that's something in Hindi. Next, I'd like to say a big thank you to you, family and friends gathered here today from all over the world. including those that would have loved to be here today, but are unavoidably absent. We are grateful for your patience, prayers, and support, without which today would never have become reality. We are glad to have done you proud, and we hope to count on your continued support in future. Finally, I'd like to thank the people of Concord in particular, and the US in general. Granted, we've had our differences. A few people have accused me of denying them winter because I brought too much warm weather from Africa. However, your encouraging smiles and polite nods, when we both know you have little idea what we are talking about half the time, is truly commendable. The conversations I dreaded the most were telephone conversations. I recall the first time I called the cab company and told the dispatcher I'm at 90. She said, 19? I said, no, 90. She said, oh, 19. I said, no, 90, 90. Oh, 90. Thank you. And thank goodness that wasn't a 911 call. Specifically, I must thank you for sharing some of the special American events with us, like Thanksgiving and the Super Bowl weekend. At least now I know Tom Brady and Tim Tebow before he moved to New York. I'd also like to thank the Lindolens for eagerly welcoming me into their home on more than one occasion, and my buddy, Chuck, for showing me around, if you know what I mean. Thank you for listening while I entertained myself, and thank you for sharing our joy and success. God bless you all.
The law student speaker today is Jonathan Foskett. He's a JD recipient, and he was selected by his classmates. Jonathan.
Friends, faculty, family, staff, and of course, the class of 2012, congratulations. We did it. After 3 years of term papers, oral arguments, midterms, finals, sleep deprivation, and evading the dreaded cold call, all while subsisting almost entirely on the fine delicacies offered over at Checkmate Pizza, we are now just minutes away from graduating law school. We are almost done. Instead of speaking to my classmates today, most of whom are undoubtedly sick of me by now, I'd like to address the friends and families of the graduates to let them know what they'll be facing in the next few months. After 3 long years of putting up with insane law students, you're finally going to get your reward. At the end of this ceremony, we're going to release into your custody your very own law school graduate. When your graduate first gets home, there will be an initial healing and withdrawal process, which may be a bit intense. Fresh graduates may be heard muttering about the dormant Commerce Clause out to get them, or softly singing odd lyrics like "I fought the law and the law won" on summary judgment due to sovereign immunity. And there is also a certain amount of bitterness that might come out in the first few weeks. Outbursts like "Socrates can take his teaching method and shove it" are commonplace. But when confronted with these situations, simply nod your head in agreement with whatever nonsensical drivel is coming out of your graduate's mouth, slowly move towards the nearest door without making any sudden movements, and don't come back into the room until your graduate's alternation between maniacal laughter and gentle sobbing has ceased. Additionally, there are some trigger phrases that you should avoid to preserve the mental stability of your graduate. These include calling the Constitution a living, breathing document, or saying absolutely anything in Latin. If you ascertain that your graduate took administrative process with Professor Field, the words Patent and Trademark Office, or even saying the letters PTO, will almost certainly cause some kind of mental breakdown. There are also steps that you can take to make your law school graduate as physically comfortable as possible. Of great importance is to be sure to stock up on sunscreen, dark sunglasses, and large hats, because you need to keep in mind that your graduate has not seen the light of day for the last 3 years and is now extremely susceptible to UV rays. There are also, on a side note, if your graduate has continual difficulty with light after the first 3 months or so following graduation, and they've also decided to pursue a career in personal injury law, you may want to consult a priest or other religious figure, because there's a decent chance that your graduate is, in fact, a blood-sucking vampire. Sorry for all the personal injury lawyers. Thankfully, though, much of the mental damage suffered in law school will be undone in a 2-month confrontation therapy program disguised as a bar preparation course, modeled after the same post-traumatic stress disorder therapy used to treat war veterans and loyal fans of the TV show Lost who actually hung in there for the season finale. Therapy participants are forced to confront the horrors they endured over law school, subject by subject, class by class. Graduates revisit each area of study and damaging memories associated therewith. By associating feelings of control and hope with the different topics discussed, the so-called licensing process will slowly replace the psychological terrors with calm normalcy. By the time that your graduate actually reaches the bar exam, which is not an exam designed to evaluate your legal knowledge, but rather to determine whether or not law school has damaged you beyond repair, your graduates will have completed their rehabilitation. There are many types of law school graduates here today, all of whom will go on to practice in different areas of law, to use their degrees in both legal and non-legal professions, and who will establish a name and reputation for themselves all on their own. I joke about the terrors of law school. But the truth is that for the faculty and staff here, they've devoted their time and energy to preparing us for our future, and they've done an excellent job. What lies ahead is uncertain, but as we move forward into the uncertainty, we will always be able to draw on what we learned here from our casebooks, from our professors, and perhaps most importantly from one another. On that note, I would like to leave you with a quote from what I consider to be one of the greatest modern works of media, Back to the Future. In the final scene of the third movie, Marty McFly's girlfriend tells Doc Brown that the writing in the newspaper she brought back from the future has disappeared. And when she asks what that means, Doc Brown says simply, "It means your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make of it, so make it a good one." Thank you.
Before I award the honorary degrees, I want to take a minute to acknowledge two people who have most recently and for some time been friends of this law school. Sitting out here in the audience today is Dick Hesse, who is the former dean of the school, a longtime professor here who helped make today possible. I wish Dick would stand and be recognized. And the second person is a person I should have recognized some minutes ago, and that's Mark Huddleston, who's here today. He's the president of the University of New Hampshire, and he cares deeply about this school and its mission, and he has made my journey here as dean as comfortable and transitional as possible, and I wish you would join me in expressing our appreciation that we're now a member of the University of New Hampshire itself. And now I get to award honorary degrees. We're getting to you, I promise. I promise. The first honorary degree I will award is to United States Senator from the state of Maine, Olympia Snowe. Let me read the honorary degree. The University of New Hampshire School of Law, upon the recommendation of the Board of Trustees, hereby confers upon the Honorable Olympia Snowe for her 18 years of dedicated and distinguished service in the United States Senate and for her steadfast commitment to bipartisanship and civil discourse throughout her public career, the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws with all pertaining privileges. Congratulations.
He said, say a few words. Thank you, President Huddleston and Dean Broderick, and most of all, congratulations to the class of 2012. It's truly a pleasure to be able to be here today to participate in this milestone ceremony. I want to applaud President Huddleston for his leadership in placing UNH on the vanguard of education in the 21st century. As a University of Maine graduate, however, I hope you don't put the hockey team on the vanguard. Dean Broderick, you truly have been a champion in legal services and certainly a pillar within the judicial community that has shown and demonstrated all of the skills that you are employing here today. And I want to congratulate you. I hope we can use your can-do spirit and apply it to Washington because then we would be on to something. I want to express my profound appreciation to members of the Board of Trustees for according me this honorary degree in the distinguished company of Judge Rader, Judge Howard, and of course the legendary giant of civil rights, Congressman John Lewis, with whom I've had the pleasure of serving in the U.S. House of Representatives, actually during a time, as I think about it, and considering today's standards and measuring by today's standards, that would have been viewed as the golden era of bipartisanship in Washington. I happen to note that, that the honorary degree recipients are equally divided and represented by with the judicial and legislative branches, which reminds me that the former Senator, Majority Leader George Mitchell of Maine, said that he felt that he had more power as a federal judge than he ever did as a United States Senator. So I'll leave it to all of you to decide what form of that perspective you want to embrace. But let me just say something, you're on an excellent track. I'm enormously grateful for being recognized for my bipartisanship, as well as my commitment to public discourse that is so essential if we are going to solve the problems of this great nation. Justice Lewis Powell, when he retired in 1988, his colleagues in the Supreme Court wrote him a letter, and it said in part, all of us admire your extraordinary capacity to forcefully participate in both the private and public debates that we have, but you haven't allowed your advocacy to degenerate into contentiousness. Well, that's an approach that serves us well in all facets of life. As graduates of this outstanding law school that's helped to shape your keen intellects and your discerning minds, I hope that you will adopt the guiding principles of cooperation, not confrontation, civility, not hostility, vision, not division. They are the surest instruments both to your success and to the success of our country. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Judge Randall Rader, Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, to come forward. And I will read his honorary degree. The University of New Hampshire School of Law, upon the recommendation of the Board of Trustees, hereby confers upon the Honorable Randall R. Rader for his unparalleled judicial leadership, intellect, and global impact on the law of intellectual property as Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws. And let me just say, Judge Rader has been a great friend to this law school and a good friend to me, and it's an honor to have him here today.
Thank you, Dean.
I'll hold that for you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, my dear friends all. You know, the future of our nation depends upon its ability to innovate and change to meet new challenges. And the future of our ability to innovate depends upon our legal institutions, our commercial laws, and our intellectual property protections. And those institutions and laws depend upon you who are sitting here in front of me. You have a great challenge to ensure that those institutions rise to the full expectations we have of them, and that they can meet those challenges that Senator Snowe spoke of. Let me just end with one other thought. Every single one of us that you see sitting up here was down there just a few years ago. What you're undertaking today is really not anything more than a beginning of the great responsibilities that you have to this nation and its future. Thank you very much.
I would like to ask the Honorable Jeffrey Howard, a member of the First Circuit Court of Appeals, to come forward. And his honorary degree reads as follows. The University of New Hampshire School of Law, upon the recommendation of the Board of Trustees, hereby confers on the Honorable Jeffrey Howard for his exemplary public service as New Hampshire's Attorney General and United States Attorney, and for his distinguished service on the First Circuit Court of Appeals, the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws. It's not often in your lifetime you have the opportunity to present an honorary degree to a dear friend. I do today. Jeffrey.
President Huddleston, Congressman Lewis, friends. Each year for a generation, students from this school have sat by my side as elbow law clerks through the externship program. For 30 years, from my first intern up through very recently with your classmates Morgan Malinowitz and Frank Frederick, I have had interns with me. And each time, each year, there comes a time when I say to myself, I wish that I had the gifts that this student possesses. This person is going to make a great lawyer. So I need to thank Ellen Musinski for taking care of me. That is one of the reasons that I cannot with brevity tell you, I can't describe to you what a profound joy it is for me to be a member of your class. So let me do this instead. To Trustee Heather Merrill, who as a young First Lady was a pioneer in the fight against breast cancer and who worked so hard to improve neonatal care in New Hampshire. And to USNH Board Chair Ed DuPont, who some time ago showed me that service to our fellow citizens requires that we work late into the night and that we get up an hour before everyone else. And to UNH Law Chair Kathy Green, who epitomizes to me, really, more than any other lawyer that I know, what it means to be an effective advocate and to put the client's needs first. To all of the trustees, and especially to Dean Broderick, who for my decade on the United States Court of Appeals has been my friend, confidant, mentor, most of all, inspiration, let me just say thank you.
I'm going to ask Professor Erin Corcoran, if she could, to come forward. Our next honorary degree recipient is Congressman John Lewis.
Thank you, Dean Broderick. It is such an honor and a privilege to be up here today. And this commencement has particular significance for me because I, too, 3 years ago, began my journey at UNH School of Law. So it's with great fondness and pride that I watch you graduate today into the legal profession. And it's also so special to be up here with Congressman Lewis, whose perseverance, grit, and dogged advocacy has not only made this country, but this world a better place. So the University of New Hampshire School of Law, upon the recommendation of the Board of Trustees, hereby confers the Honorable John R. Lewis in recognition for his tireless efforts and extraordinary courage for the cause of civil rights and human dignity, the honorary degree of Doctors of Law, with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining to this degree given at Concord, New Hampshire, United States of America on the 19th day of May, 2012.
To introduce Congressman Lewis, who was our commencement speaker, I call upon Kathy Green, who's the chair of our Board of Trustees, who herself was inspired by his selflessness. Kathy.
Thank you very much, Dean. I am deeply honored to introduce Congressman John Lewis today. He is a true American hero and an icon of the civil rights movement. Born in 1940, John Lewis was the son of Alabama sharecroppers. He grew up in a time when African Americans in the South were subjected to systematic intimidation, humiliating segregation, and constant discrimination. When John Lewis grew up, despite the Equal Protection Clause of the United States Constitution and clear U.S. Supreme Court precedent, which specifically outlawed segregation on interstate public transportation, Black Americans endured extreme prejudice, being forced to sit in black-only sections of buses, prohibited from drinking from white-only water fountains. Today, this is unimaginable to us, but to a young John Lewis, this was his reality, and it was intolerable. As a student, he began organizing others to join the civil rights movement, orchestrating sit-ins at segregated lunch counters in Nashville, Tennessee. John Lewis participated in the Freedom Rides of 1961. Determined to challenge segregated travel facilities, he joined with others, risking his life many times on those rides by simply sitting in white-only sections. In Anniston, Alabama, the bus he was riding on was attacked, firebombed by the Ku Klux Klan. In Birmingham, he was mercilessly beaten. And in Montgomery, an angry mob met the bus, where he was beaten and bloodied. He was arrested in Jackson, and he served jail time in the notorious Parchman State Prison. Less than a year after they began, the Freedom Riders accomplished their goal. By their actions, they forced the federal government to step in to end segregation in interstate travel, and those colored-only signs finally came tumbling down. During the height of the civil rights movement, John Lewis chaired the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and became one of the primary leaders of the civil rights movement, giving the keynote address at the March on Washington in 1963. Despite more than 40 arrests, physical attacks, serious injuries, he remained a devoted advocate of the philosophy of nonviolence. After years of working in the civil rights movement, he was elected in 1986 to represent Georgia's 5th district in Congress, where he became a leader, and he is often called the conscience of the Congress. He's an influential member of this body, where he governs with courage and integrity, a true example of leadership and civility in this very challenging time. He is the recipient of innumerable awards, the only John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award winner for lifetime achievement. And he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Honor by Barack Obama in 2011, who, in commemorating his own historic inauguration, wrote, "Because of you, John." There are so many of us whose path has been influenced by John Lewis's courageous actions and leadership. I'm here today with many of my classmates from 1977. I know that I am not the only person in that class who was moved to action and commitment to make a difference upon seeing John Lewis stand up in the 60s and the 70s and say no more. In those turbulent years, when it would have been easy to tune out and become disenchanted, John Lewis's exhortation to cause good trouble led me in very large part to this place and to this honorable career. I was reminded of the power of his inspirational life when my daughter, who is here today, worked on the American Experience documentary of the Freedom Riders and went on the 50th anniversary of the 2011, in 2011, went on the 50th anniversary of the Freedom Ride. In retelling the history of the courageous acts of John Lewis, a new generation has been inspired, your generation, to lead a meaningful life, to make a difference, and to honor his legacy. And it is with great pleasure and honor and gratitude that I introduce John Lewis.
Mr. President, Dean, members of the Supreme Court, members of the federal court, my friend, my colleague in the Congress, this beautiful, charming young woman that I hate to see leave the Congress, Senator Snowe. Thank you. And to all of the honorees for honorary degrees, members of the Board of Trustees, and Madam Chair, thank you for those kind words, distinguished members of the faculty, guests, parents, and friends, and to the class of 2012, I must tell you, I must be honest with you. I must tell it like it is. I'm honored and delighted to be with you on this important occasion. It is good to be here at this university, this law school. So thank you very much for inviting me. To each and every one of you receiving a law degree today, congratulations, congratulations. This is your day, it is not my day. It is your day. So I'm going to be very brief. Enjoy it. Take a long, deep breath and take it in. But tomorrow you must be prepared to roll up your sleeves because the world is waiting for talented, smart, gifted men and women to lead it to a better place. You are the leaders of the 21st century, and you must be leaders. You must lead. You must be a headlight and not a tail light. You must find a way to get in the way. Yes, my mother, my father, my grandparents, and great-grandparents told me over and over again when I asked them about those signs that said white men, white women, colored women, white waiting, colored waiting. They said, that's the way it is. Don't get in the way. Don't get in trouble. But I was inspired to get in the way, to get in trouble. Good trouble, necessary trouble. And I expect you as members of the class of 2012 to get out there and push and pull and get in some good trouble, necessary trouble to help change America and make our country and our world a better place. As lawyers, you must go out there and stir up things. During the Civil Rights Movement, we had the capacity and the ability to bring the dirt, the filth from under the American rug, out of the cracks, out of the corners, into the open light. You must do it. Stand up for what is right. Stand up for what is fair. Stand up for what is just. I say from time to time, as citizens of our country and citizens of the world, we have a right to know what is in the food we eat. We have a right to know what is in the water we drink. We have a right to know what is in the air we breathe. This little planet, this little piece of real estate is not ours to waste. Use what we need and leave it a little greener, a little cleaner, and a little more peaceful for generation yet unborn. You can do it. You must do it. Now, my generation, when I was growing up, I never heard of the internet. We didn't have a website. We didn't have an iPad, iPod. Never heard of a Facebook. We didn't even have a fax machine. We had an old Xerox machine that you turn. You know anything about it? No. But under the rule of law, we ushered in a nonviolent revolution. A revolution of values, a revolution of ideas. Use the law, not just to do well, but to do good. You have been tracked down by what I call the spirit of history. And you must let the spirit of history use you, guide you, and make your contribution. I think it was Horace Mann who suggested that we should be ashamed to die, ashamed to leave this planet until we have made a contribution to humankind. That is your calling. You must answer and respond to the trumpet call, or to the call of the spirit of history. Some of you may ask, John Lewis, how do you get involved? What happened along the way? I didn't like segregation. I didn't like racial discrimination. And one day I heard about Rosa Parks. I heard the words of Martin Luther King Jr. I was inspired to move to act. I met Rosa Parks when I was 17. Met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when I was 18. Studied the words and teaching of Gandhi, Thoreau, and civil disobedience. Followed the drama of the Montgomery bus boycott. And when I had an opportunity to get involved, I got involved. So, you're very young, but you're smart. You're gifted. Just go out there. Push and pull, and be not afraid. Now, you won't get arrested like I did. You heard in introduction from the chair of the board that I got arrested 40 times during the 60s. But I don't have a record. They were all trump-up charges. But there was members of the bar, judges on the bench that responded. And I am thankful and grateful to our legal system, to the lawyers, and to the judges. So some of you will be outstanding lawyers, all of you. And some of you will be great members of the bench. But whatever you do it so well that no one else can do it any better. Those signs that I saw growing up in rural Alabama, in Montgomery, in Birmingham, in Selma, in Atlanta, in Nashville, in other parts of the South. They are gone, and they will not return. The only places our children will see those signs will be in a book, in a museum, or on a video. Because under the rule of law, those signs have been brought down. But we still have a distance to go. Too many of our citizens have been left out and left behind. They're black, they're white, Latino, Asian American, and Native American. And as lawyers, you cannot rest. You cannot be at peace with yourself until there's justice and equality for all of the citizens here in America. You must do your part. As one of the professors said earlier, go out there. Go out there with passion. Have some passion. Take crying a little, cry. Take moving, shouting. Just go out there and fight. And speak from your heart, from your soul, from your guts. Like you believe in what you're saying and what you're doing. I wish you well. I wish you the best. When I was growing up in southeast Alabama, 50 miles from Montgomery, outside of Troy, I had an aunt by the name of Seneva. And my Aunt Seneva lived in what we call a shotgun house. I know here in this law school, as law graduates, you don't even know what I'm talking about. You've never seen a shotgun house here in New Hampshire, in New England. I know what I'm talking about because I was born in a shotgun house. My Aunt Seneva didn't have a green manicured lawn, a simple plain dirt yard. And sometime at night, you can look up through the holes in the ceiling and count the stars. When it would rain, she would get a pail, a bucket, or a tub and catch the rainwater. For those of you who may not know what a shotgun house is, in a nonviolent sense, it's an old house, one way in, one way out, where you can bounce a basketball through the front door and it will go straight out the back door. From time to time, my Aunt Seneva would walk out into the woods and cut branches from a dogwood tree and tie these branches together and make a broom. And she would call that broom the breast broom. And she would sweep this dirt yard very clean, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, a week, but especially on a Friday or on a Saturday, because she wanted that dirt yard to look good during the weekend. But one Saturday afternoon, by this time of day, a few of my brothers and sisters and first cousins were out playing in my Aunt Seneva's dirt yard, and an unbelievable storm came up. The wind started blowing, the thunder started rolling, the lightning started flashing, and the rain started beating on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. My aunt became terrified. She started crying. She thought this old house was going to blow away. She got all of us, the children, together and told us to hold hands. And we did as we were told. The wind continued to blow, the thunder continued to roll, the lightning continued to flash, and the rain continued to beat on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. And we cried and we cried. And when one corner of this old house appeared to be lifting from its foundation, my aunt had us to walk to that corner to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. When the other side appeared to be lifting, she had us to walk to that side to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. We were little children walking with the wind, but we never, ever left the house. Call it the house of the University of New Hampshire Law School. Call it the house of America. Call it the World House. We all live in the same house. The wind may blow, the thunder may roll, the lightning may flash, and it may beat on our house. But you must never leave the house. We have to stay with the house. For we're one family, we're one house, and we must live in this house together. Maybe our foremothers and our forefathers all came to this great land in different ships. We all are in the same boat now. It doesn't matter whether we're black or white, Latino, Asian American, or Native American. It doesn't matter whether we're straight or gay. It doesn't matter in a final analysis whether we live in New England or in the Deep South, whether we live in America or live in Europe or Africa or Asia or Central or South America. We are one people, we are one family, we are one house. The technology that we witness has brought us closer and closer together. As Gandhi said, it is nonviolence or non-existence. Dr. King put it another way: we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we perish as fools. Use the law to bring us together. Use the law to move us much closer to the building of the beloved community. A community not just in New Hampshire, not just in America, but a worldwide beloved community that respects the dignity and the worth of every human being. Walk with the wind, get in the way, make a way out of no way, and create a society that is at peace with itself. I said to you as you graduate, as you leave this law school, let the spirit of the law be your guide. Hang in there. Keep the faith. Keep your eyes on the prize. Do good. Thank you very much.
It is not often that you will hear from someone who has bent history. You heard it today. I want to thank John Lewis for his spirit, his dedication to human dignity, and to the challenge he poses to every one of us. You have made this graduation even more special than otherwise. Thank you, Congressman, for coming. I'm going to ask Fran Canning to come up. We're about to award degrees.
Just get into... We'll get into line here and we'll be all set. Will the JD class of 2012 please stand up? Dean Broderick, I have the honor to present the 37th graduating class of the University of New Hampshire School of Law for the degree of Juris Doctor.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, in recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, I hereby award the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree.
We're going to bring them up. Jonathan Alexander. Micah Ascano. Melissa Atherton. Jared Biedrick. William Thoreau Bell. Tabitha Bennett. Ian Bentham. Robert Berry. Maria Bertha. David Betancourt. Kerry Blassingham. Thomas Bluestein. Alfredo Bonilla. Jeffrey Barassa. Burke Bourne. Mindy Brown. Michael Buscemi. Jared Capps. Seth Chase. Charles Chen. Andrea Christensen. David Chung. Joseph Citro. Stephen Claflin. Justin Clark. Gary Code. Ryan Conrad. Megan Costello. Beatrice Damas. Matthew Davison. Sebastian Delisle. Joshua Denton. Kelly Donahue. Carol Dortch. Christopher Drescher. Mason Dunn. Lindsay DuPont. Krista Ellis. McKenna Ellis. Anthony Esty. Kelly Farrell. Richard Fogel. Amanda Forbes. Jonathan Foskett. Francis Fredericks. Jacqueline Freeman. John Fuentes. Christy Gallagher. Joseph Galley. Austin Gardner. Vanessa Gelinas. Paul Gross. Samantha Grover. Carl Gunnelfinger. Ralph Guzik. Thomas Hatton. Rachel Hawkinson. Caleb Hogan. Robert Hover. David Howard. Sanjay Huang. Obi Ikema. Karishma Jiva. John Johnson. Ernest Coca. Alina Kaziyeva. Chi-Yun Kim. Patrick Kim. Matthew Kinnear. Timothy Culls. Heejin Kwak. Emily LaFlamme. Sean Lamprin. Sean Leary. Conrad Lee. Anthony Lenhart. Jackie Lynn. Justin Littlefield. Michelangelo Logia. Jonathan Lynch. Molly Lynch. John McKinnon III. Jesse Mayhos. Jennifer McAhoos. Rebecca Malila. Morgan Malinowitz. Sanjana Mangalagiri. Todd Marks. Michael McCubbin. Connor McCune. Erin McKegg. Erin Meenan. Lisa Merrill. Heath Misley. Connor Morris. Justin Muscati. Mia Moti. Ian Mullett. Catherine Naughton. Nathan Newbold. Lan Nguyen. Shauna O'Rourke. Iman Palavani. Rita Patel. Gerald Peak. Richard Peterson. Nicole Pluchinski. Joshua Puryear. Rob Pyatt. Kimberly Reeve. Richard Reinhardt. Alex Samuel. Nicholas Scala. Edward Ted Sisson. Tanya Sponey. Anna Stanford. Holly Stevens. Christine Stoddard. Joseph Sullivan. Gerard Tellier. Emily Thompson. Nicole Thorsbecken. Timothy Treffinger. Mayomi C. Caitlin Turo. Jeffrey Worley. Donald Weeks. Jordan Wilcox. Stephen Young. Jun Yi. Madalena Zeffirino. Will the joint JD LLM in Commerce and Technology degree students please stand? They don't come up.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, and in recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, I hereby award the degree of CTMIP. No? It wasn't that hard to get that degree. JD LLM in Commerce and Technology, with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
Will the joint JD LLM in Intellectual Property degree students please stand? I can say I have the honor to present the fifth graduating class.
I understand. Where are we? What are we looking at?
You can read this.
I can read that.
Okay, let me just say this part, and then you could say this. Dean Broderick, I have the honor to present the fifth graduating class of the University of New Hampshire School of Law for the degree of Juris Doctor and Master of Laws in Intellectual Property.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, in recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, I hereby award the degree of Juris Doctor and Master of Laws in Intellectual Property, with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree.
Will the joint JD LLM in International Criminal Law and Justice degree students please stand? Dean Broderick, I have the honor to present the fifth graduating class of the University of New Hampshire School of Law of Juris Doctor and Master of Laws in International Criminal Law and Justice.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, in recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course and study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, I hereby award the degree of Juris Doctor and Master of Laws in International Criminal Law and Justice, with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
Now they're going to walk. Will the LLM in Commerce and Technology degree students please stand? Come on. We've got a lot of you. Dean Broderick, I have the honor to present the 15th graduating class of the University of New Hampshire School of Law for the degree of Master of Laws in Commerce and Technology. Would you come on up, please? Thank you.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, upon the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, I hereby award the degree of Master of Laws in Commerce and Technology, with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. And the advantage you have, you can tell people you're either first or second in your class.
Sohini Gupta. Aus Fahad Asur. Will the LLM in intellectual property degree students please stand? Dean Broderick, I have the honor to present the 15th graduating class of the University of New Hampshire School of Law for the degree of Master of Laws in Intellectual Property.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, upon the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, I hereby award the degree of Master of Laws in Intellectual Property with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
Would you please come up? Rebecca Arosemana. Anjali Bhargava. Gorkim Ajay Birkhan. Bahar Shevin Bubar. Saibal Sil. Maria Inez Herrera. Amit Kezar. Sampechuda Kradkruya. Yunhee Lee. Xiaomin Li. Yi Lu. Ekta Matnani. Matteo Mancinella. Imtiaz Mir. Akihiro Sako. Masanori Sudo. Irem Unal Nazamulu. Sri Harsha Vasareddy. Kapil Vyas. Stacy Williams. Jia Shu. Tianmu Shu. Will the LLM in International Criminal Law and Justice degree students please stand? Dean Broderick, I have the honor to present the 5th graduating class of the University of New Hampshire School of Law for the degree of Master of Laws in International Criminal Law and Justice.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, in recognition of the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, I hereby award the degree of Master of Laws in Intellectual Criminal Law, International Criminal Law, and Justice, with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
Adeyemi Ibironke. Edward Schroth. Will the Masters in Intellectual Property degree students please stand? Dean Broderick, I have the honor to present the 26th graduating class of the University of New Hampshire School of Law for the degree of Master of Intellectual Property.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University of New Hampshire School of Law, upon the satisfactory fulfillment of the course of study and all the requirements pertaining thereto, I hereby award the degree of Master of Intellectual Property with all the rights and privileges, honors, and marks of distinction pertaining to those elevated to this degree. Congratulations.
Chiwi Feng. Arushi Gupta. Pramitha Krishnamurthy Prakash. Pai Chen Lin. Chen Chuan Jamie Liu. Kyung Hwan Min. Youngshin. Wen Yuan Wu. Yi Yu.
Now that we have the dress rehearsal out of the way, we'll start for real. I want to invite all of you to a reception in the tent across the lake here after we conclude. And if you or your families would like to have a professional photograph taken, they'll do that out by the bridge. As I close, I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts of my own. And I'm going to deliver them to you in a brief story. I know it's been a long day. It'll take 2 minutes. Happened 5 years ago. It's on my mind today. I arrived early one morning 4 years ago, February, at Reagan National Airport. And I was picked up by a cab who seemed pretty happy to see me. I was happy to see him. He had a very thick accent. And as we crossed the Potomac River, we were in high conversation. He told me he had come here from the Balkans and that he had 2 grown daughters and they had done very well in the United States. And he also had a granddaughter. He was very proud of her, and at the stoplight, he handed me her picture. And I told him I had grandchildren too, and we had found common ground. He told me that he loved the American people and the opportunities of this country. And then he asked me what I did for a living. And I said to him, I'm a judge, I'm an appellate judge. And not knowing how he'd react, his voice started to rise, and he said, "You have the most important job in your entire government. Without you," he said, "America would cease to be America." I said, "Why do you say that? Why do you say that? Why do you believe that?" He said, "Because, sir, without people like you, little people like me would never be sure if they were really safe or really free." And when he took me up by the rotunda to let me out, he put his hand over the seat between us to shake mine. And he said, "It's been a real honor to have you, sir, in my cab today, a real honor." And I had time before I had my appointment, and so I walked over by the Supreme Court of the United States. It was early, it was cold, and there were not many people on the sidewalk. And I looked at the front edifice of that building, as I do every time I'm near it. And I was thinking of the simple wisdom of the cab driver. And I wondered what the 20th century in America would have looked like if that building didn't exist. Your obligation as lawyers is to do great things with integrity and principle and honesty, but also to remember my cab driver and remember what he told me. Judges only hear cases that are filed, only cases that are brought to them. You're the generation that will file those cases and bring those issues to courts around the country. And I know you will. And on behalf of myself and my cab driver, I thank you for it. Congratulations to all of you. It's a very big day, and to your families.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.